Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to What's Better, Raw or SmackDown? And I know I'm really late doing this video. It's now Sunday, and Raw and SmackDown happened on Monday and Tuesday of last week. I just been extremely busy when it comes to schoolwork and making other videos that I haven't had time to really sit down and watch Raw and SmackDown. So I'm going to sit down right now and watch Raw for January 30th, 2017, and then SmackDown for January 31st, 2017. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Like I said, I do apologize for not getting the review of what I wanted to, but I'm going to do it now. So let's talk about both Raw and SmackDown. Now, we're going to have, like I talked about it in my last episode, we're going to have some very interesting episodes now that now that the Royal Rumble is now over, because the Royal Rumble was, afterwards we were going to pretty much have a set goal about the road to WrestleMania, and now we do. We know that Randy Orton, who is a SmackDown superstar, has won the Royal Rumble match, and he's going to get an opportunity to go after the WWE Championship, so that's probably going to play a factor in the SmackDown. And with Raw, I'm kind of excited to see what's going to happen because nobody from Raw won the Royal Rumble match. So now the question is how are they going to set up the WWE Universal title match, and what's going to happen going into Fastlane, and what's going to happen with SmackDown going into Elimination Chamber. So it's going to be a very interesting time, few episodes going into WrestleMania, and I'm actually looking forward to seeing what happens. So now enough of me talking. Let's get to the episode. Okay, so let me preview Raw. So I already said the date in the beginning of the video, so I'm not going to say it. And as I talked about, we're going to have a very interesting Monday Night Raw because this is the first Raw post-Royal Rumble. So it's going to be interesting to see where Raw's going to go since the guy from Raw didn't win the Royal Rumble match. So I'm actually kind of looking forward to seeing what happens with Raw. And I'm not really looking forward to watching SmackDown considering the fact that Randy Orton won the Royal Rumble and John Cena is the WWE Champion. So we know we're going to either get Orton versus Cena for the title, and they're going to probably start building for that. Not right now, but probably soon. So it's like I don't really want to see that. So I'm actually interested to see what's going to happen with Raw. I expect something to happen where they either start building up for Fastlane, or they start kind of setting up some WrestleMania angles, which I'm looking forward to. So I'm looking forward to actually watching Raw. But one main reason I'm looking forward to watching Raw is to see the face-to-face segment between Stephanie McMahon and Seth Rollins, because now they're starting to really intensify and starting to really dive into the Seth Rollins Triple H match, and I'm looking forward to that. Seth Rollins. Obviously, as everybody knows, Triple H has cost Seth Rollins the WWE Universal title and turned on him back in August, I believe, or September. Recently, Triple H again just screwed over Seth Rollins. He cost him a chance to be in the Royal Rumble match and main event WrestleMania, and Seth Rollins just invaded NXT TakeOver San Antonio. So I'm actually kind of looking forward to watching Raw. And seeing the face-off between Seth Rollins and Stephanie McMahon. I hope Triple H makes an appearance, and this isn't just a face-off between Stephanie McMahon and Seth Rollins, because we've seen it before, but now that they're kind of starting to dive into the Seth Rollins-Triple H feud, and Seth Rollins is kind of starting to become... I'm not really... and now Seth Rollins is going to have some sort of purpose of being on the show, because for a while, like I had talked about, he was in career limbo, so I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in that aspect, and... yeah, that's like the main thing I'm looking forward to, because they didn't really announce anything else. So let's see what happens with this episode of Raw. Okay, so now we had the actual show itself. We had Corey Graves, Michael Cole, and Byron Saxton on commentary for this show. And JRKO come out to cut a promo. And Kevin Owens talks about how he proved everybody wrong, and he was able to successfully retain his WWE Universal Championship against Roman Reigns. And he says that, nobody thought that he was going to be able to do it. Everybody thought that he had the odds stacked against him. And then he says that there's one person that he wants to thank for the help. And he even mentions, too, how the list that Chris Jericho has, the list that he has of people who doubted him is bigger than the list that Chris Jericho has, and now he's gonna shove it into everybody's face. And then he says he wants to thank one special person who helped him retain his WWE Universal Championship, and he says that he's gonna thank Chris Jericho. And he says that when they shake hands, Jericho says that he would do anything for Kevin Owens because they're best friends. And that's why they're both still the WWE Universal Champion, and they both simultaneously say champion, and both still the WWE United States Champion, and they both, again, simultaneously say champion. And Jericho talks about how he doesn't want to brag, but he accomplished something last night as well. And he says that he now has the longest cumulative time in the Royal Rumble match of any superstar. He now has lasted because last night he broke the record. So Jericho has the cumulative time of 4 hours, 56 minutes, and 12 seconds, which is, a history making. And then he talks about how him and Kevin Owens are going to are going to take the WWE to the next level. And then Braun Strowman comes out, and Kevin Owens then says, "Stroman, it's good to see you out here. I was just about to thank you for helping me retain my WWE Universal Championship." And Braun Strowman then wants him to save it, and he pretty much demands that Kevin Owens gives him a WWE Universal Championship match, because Kevin Owens had promised that he would give him a Universal title match. And then Kevin Owens is like, "I never said that." And Braun Strowman was like, "Yes, you did, and I have proof." And he plays footage of Kevin Owens saying that if he retains his title, he promises he'll give Braun Strowman a title shot. And Kevin Owens then tried to say that it was photoshopped and that it's not real. And Braun Strowman says that if he doesn't give him a title shot, he's going to destroy him. And then Mick Foley comes out, and he congratulates Kevin Owens on retaining his WWE Universal Championship. But Kevin Owens doesn't want to do this because he actually is hurt. He's arms all taped up and he can barely walk. And he says that he went out and he wrestled in one of the most brutal matches ever in WWE, and he has the consequences, and he wants to take the night off. And Mick Foley pretty much says no, that you stepped into hell last night, and now you're going to step back into it, because tonight you're going to defend your WWE Universal Championship against Braun Strowman. And Mick Foley then says, "Right here in Texas." And then that was it. Overall, I thought this was actually a really good segment. I thought Kevin Owens was great here. Jericho was good too, and I thought Strowman was good. And overall, I thought this did a good job of setting up to the Universal title match. Then we had the first actual match on the show. It was Chris Jericho versus Sami Zayn. I thought actually this was a really good match. Sami Zayn dominates the first half of the match. He hits his move where he goes off the ropes and hits an arm drag. Then he hits a clothesline on Jericho. And then Jericho dominates the matchup for a few minutes. And then eventually Sami Zayn starts to make his comeback. He hits a DDT, but Jericho kicks out. And he hits a crossbody. Jericho kicks out again. Jericho hits a wicked clothesline on Sami Zayn. He goes for the walls of Jericho, but Jericho counters into a roll-up. But Zayn counters into a roll-up. And eventually Jericho starts running away from Zayn, and he puts the referee in front of him, and he hits a springboard dropkick while Zayn's on the apron. I thought that looked really cool. And then eventually Sami Zayn tries to go for the haluva. Jericho tries to go off the top rope. Zayn catches him into a blue thunder bomb. Jericho kicks out. Then he tries to go for the haluva kick, but Jericho moves out of the way. And then Sami Zayn goes for the slingshot through the ropes DDT. But Jericho moves out of the way, and then Zayn chases Jericho, and Jericho tries to get him into the walls of Jericho, but Zayn rolls him up. Jericho kicks out, and then Jericho starts to get all cocky after a lion salt, and then Zayn tries to beat him with the roll up. Jericho kicks out again, and then Jericho puts Zayn into the walls of Jericho, but Zayn's able to fight out of it, and he hits a exploder suplex into the corner and a haluva kick for the win. So now they're hyping this up like Sami Zayn's going to get a U.S. title shot. So I expect this to be a feud going into Fastlane with Jericho versus Zayn for the United States title, which I'd be fine with. And overall, I thought this was a really good match. Then Cesaro and Sheamus are backstage. and they're arguing over the fact about them losing the WWE Raw Tag Team Championships, and about how they try to eliminate each other from the Rumble. And then Bayley comes up and says they have to put all that behind them, because of the fact that they tonight have a chance to get some payback in a 6-person mixed tag team match. And she tells everybody to hug it out, and Cesaro does, and then Sheamus reluctantly does. And then Charlotte, Luke Gallows, and Carl Anderson come up, and Charlotte says that these are the losers because they don't have the championships anymore, and they say that they're just going to come up short. And Carl Anderson talks about, how they're the champions and they're not, and Gallows calls them nerds. And then Charlotte says that pretty much tonight it's champs versus the chumps. So overall, I thought this was a good way to build up the 6-man tag team match. Well, the 6-person mixed tag team match, I'm sorry. And then Stephanie McMahon's backstage, and Kevin Owens comes up, and he wants her to cancel the WWE Universal title match, because it's not fair that after just coming over a brutal title match with Roman Reigns that he has to defend his title again. So Stephanie McMahon says that she's going to talk to Mick Foley about it and see if she can get the match canceled. And then we had the next match. It was a cruiserweight match. Tony Nese versus Mustafa Ali. And like I said, since it's a cruiserweight match, Austin Aries took Byron Saxton's place on commentary. And overall, I thought this was a solid match. Nothing fancy, but a solid match. Tony Nese wins with a knee strike in the corner. And afterwards, Austin Aries interviews him, and he asks him how he feels about that people just pretty much say that you're a great wrestler, but you're just bland. You have no charisma. And Tony Nese then says that he doesn't really respond to what the haters have to say, and that was it. I kind of like that they're giving Tony Nese some type of push, though, so I do enjoy that, because I actually think he's talented, and he's actually good in the ring and everything. So I hope they're finally gonna push him. So I'm happy about that. But like I said, this match wasn't anything too fancy, but it was a good match. And then Seth Rollins and Stephanie McMahon have the face-to-face segment. And Seth Rollins comes out first. And he talks about how he had wanted to get his hands on Triple H for a while. And how Stephanie McMahon had wanted to call him out. But he said even the $1 Million Princess, the $1 Billion Princess doesn't always get what she wants. And he said that he figured he would beat her to the punch and make her really mad. So he calls out Stephanie McMahon. And Stephanie McMahon comes out. And Stephanie McMahon then says, "I hate to disappoint you, Seth." And then he says, "Oh yeah, just like you do to Triple H in the bedroom all the time." Well, he doesn't really say that, but he implies it. And then Stephanie McMahon then says, "No, Seth. Oh, Seth, this is how it's going to go. You're going to call out Triple H, and you're going to make a bunch of jokes towards me." And she says that Triple H is not here tonight. And then Seth Rollins says, "Well, I'm not really that disappointed, because I've been calling Triple H out every week. And he hasn't come out. So that just proves that he's a coward, and you're not going to let him off his leash." And then Stephanie McMahon says that the reason that Triple H hasn't been showing up is because she's kept him from showing up. Because Triple H doesn't need to destroy Seth Rollins. It's not what's best for business. And she goes off on him pretty much. Talks about how Seth Rollins is, how Seth Rollins tried to make it on his own. The Authority brought Seth Rollins in. But then he ended up getting injured and costing WrestleMania. And he couldn't win the title back when he came back, and ever since he's been by himself, you just haven't been able to win matches pretty much. You can't do it on your own. And Seth Rollins then says that Triple H, that you shouldn't keep Triple H away from me, because I think you're afraid about what I would do to Triple H. And how Triple H is the biggest threat that Seth Rollins has ever met. And he talks about how that if you thought me going to NXT TakeOver San Antonio was bad, then wait till I come. Then I will do whatever it takes to get my hands on Triple H. I'll go to the WWE headquarters. I'll invade a board meeting, and that wouldn't get over with your father very well now, would it? And he says that even if I go up to your house and one of your kids answers, then there's no imagining what I would do then. So I guess he's pretty much implying that he would beat the crap out of Triple H and Stephanie McMahon's little girls, which doesn't really sound like a thing a babyface should be saying. It was really weird. He pretty much implies that he's going to beat the crap out of a little girl. So pretty much Seth Rollins though wants to get his hand on Triple H. He's not going to stop. And then Stephanie McMahon grabs the mic and says that she lied. Triple H is going to be here tonight, and he's going to confront you, Seth Rollins. And then she leaves. And then that was the end of the segment. I thought this was a great segment between both of these between Stephanie McMahon and Seth Rollins. And it really set up to the main event segment, which I'm going to get into. And yeah, it looked really. I thought it was great. And, you know, it seems like Seth Rollins is kind of starting to have his character change to like a full-on babyface, but he's still not quite there yet. Because the fact that if he wants to be a babyface, he shouldn't be saying stuff like he's going to beat the crap out of little girls. He didn't say it necessarily, but he pretty much implied it. So I just thought that was kind of weird, but... then we had the next match. It was a 6-person mixed tag team match. Cesaro, Sheamus, and Bayley versus Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, and Charlotte. Gallows and Anderson dominate Cesaro for a while, and then eventually Sheamus gets the hot tag and starts going off on Gallows and Anderson. Sheamus and Cesaro hit a double team Celtic cross on Luke Gallows, and Cesaro's about to hit the swing on him, but Anderson attacks him from behind, and then eventually Gallows tags in Charlotte, and Cesaro tags in Bayley, and Bayley hits a Bayley to belly on Charlotte for the win, and the faces go over. I thought this was fine. Another funny thing is when Cesaro and Sheamus came out and Bayley was doing her entrance, Cesaro looked like he was having fun with the inflatable tube man, which I thought was funny. So yeah, I thought this was funny. Then we had Stephanie McMahon backstage again, and Mick Foley comes up to her, and you know, Stephanie McMahon's not happy that Mick Foley made the WWE Universal title match, so she wants him to cancel it, but Mick Foley doesn't want to cancel it. And he says that, you know, Steph, you hired me to do my job, and that's exactly what I'm gonna do. And Mick Foley then says, and to be honest, I know I may look stupid tonight, but I'm not stupid. I know what you did last week, playing Triple H's music. And Stephanie McMahon then says, yeah, that was under your watch, Mick. And then she says that there could be a production issue. And then they eventually agree to have this match. And then that was it. I thought this was a pretty lame backstage segment. I guess it's nice that they're clearly establishing that Stephanie is the heel and Foley's the face, but it just, when they have these backstage segments, they're just so awkward sometimes. They just don't work together. And then we had the coronation of Neville, king of the cruiserweights, and I thought this was a good segment here too. Neville comes out and he talks about how he's now the king of the cruiserweights. He's now proven it. And he said that now he is the king of the cruiserweight division. And he said that you guys shouldn't be pleasing me because you guys never cared about me. You guys never thought that I had success, but now I have stuck it right into your face. And then Rich Swann comes out, and Rich Swann says he's not here to interrupt his coronation. He's not here to attack Neville. But he says that, and he said that he's going to get his rematch in the future. And he says that even though he doesn't like Neville, he's one of the best wrestlers in this ring today. And he says that all these mind games that where the fans hate Neville are all just in Neville's head. And he says that he respects Neville and he goes to shake his hand. And then he says, where do you get off, Swan? You don't shake the hand of the king. You bow down to him. And then Swan says he's not going to do that. So then he goes to leave. Neville tries to attack him from behind. Swan fights back, but then beats the crap out of him in the corner. But then Neville attacks him, but Swan's able to fight back, beats the crap out of Neville, hits a kick right to the head, hits a dive on the floor, and sends Neville packing, and Swan stands tall. I thought this was a good segment here. It was a good way to continue the feud between Neville and Rich Swann, and I think Neville being the Cruiserweight champion right now is going to be good for the Cruiserweights because it feels like they're actually going to be booked more seriously, even like they were when Neville had just got into the Cruiserweight, so I actually do like that. But one of my friends actually made a comment that it seems like the only two people actually fighting for the belt is Neville and Rich Swann, and I actually do agree with them on that in that aspect. You need to start building up on other contenders than the other just Neville and Rich Swann. They're kind of doing that with Tony Nese, I guess, but it doesn't feel like he's up there just yet. Mustafa Ali really isn't really being built up. He's just kind of there right now. So I would like to see Neville, and because obviously you have to find a spot to go after this Neville Rich Swann feud. So you need to kind of find some sort of direction, and I hope they kind of do that. And then Sasha Banks is backstage, and Bayley comes up to her, and Sasha Banks is going to be wrestling tonight. Well, on this episode of Raw, and Bayley doesn't think it's a good idea because her knees are bandaged up, and she got destroyed by Nia Jax at the Royal Rumble kickoff. And she doesn't think it's a good idea, but Sasha doesn't care, and she says that that I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna beat Nia Jax. So it seems like they're kind of teasing a feud between Sasha and Bayley, which is, I think, the point of it. And then Kevin Owens is backstage, and he tells Chris Jericho that he thinks it's ridiculous that he has to defend his WWE Universal title tonight. And Jericho talk about how Mick Foley's always stacking the deck against him. And Chris Jericho says, no matter what happens tonight, we're both still going to be the WWE United States Champion. And Kevin Owens wants Chris Jericho to come out there in his match tonight, but then Jericho mentions, well, yeah, but you should have been out there when Sami Zayn had cheated to beat me. And Owens says, well, I had to try to get this match canceled. And then Jericho says, and Zayn says, and then Owens tried to talk him into it by saying that they're both going to main event WrestleMania together. And then Jericho agrees to be with them ringside because he's his best friend. And then that was it. So it seems like they're kind of starting to tease the Kevin Owens Chris Jericho match at WrestleMania. It just really would help if Jericho had won the Rumble, because then the stuff they could do with this, the fact that they actually would be main event in WrestleMania together, and this show just shows an exact that Jericho should have won the Rumble. It shouldn't have been Orton. It should have been Jericho. I don't know why they didn't have Jericho win the Rumble. I think it's stupid because the tease in the Jericho Owens feud, and it's just so much easier if you've had Jericho win the Rumble. Because what does Jericho even do to get a title shot? Then you can actually plant that seed saying, you want to main event WrestleMania together, well, let's beat Braun Strowman. It would make, I just didn't think the segment worked as well. Like, it still worked, but it would have worked so much better if Jericho had actually won the Rumble. But then we had the next match. It was a WWE Universal Championship match. WWE Universal Champion Kevin Owens versus Braun Strowman with Chris Jericho on commentary. And when Jericho was coming out with Owens, Owens didn't want him to go on commentary. He wanted to come up ringside with him because it was Braun Strowman. But Jericho doesn't agree to do it. But then when Braun Strowman makes his entrance, he goes right over to Chris Jericho. He attacks him, he big boots him, and he choke slams him through the announce table. So Jericho is pretty much taken out of this matchup, which was actually a smart move by Stroman, which makes Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns look stupid that they didn't take out Jericho first. So it made Stroman look actually pretty smart. And Owens is afraid to face Stroman, so the match starts. Owens runs away from him, and he attacks him before he gets back in the ring. He kicks him in the face, and he goes for a suicide dive, but then Strowman clotheslines him, and he destroys Kevin Owens. He throws him into the barricade. He hits a big forearm right to Owens' chest, and then eventually Strowman tries to charge at him, but Owens moves out of the way. He ends up going into the steel post, and then Owens hits the cannonball, and Owens starts beating the crap out of Strowman. He hits a leg drop to the back of the head, a couple of sentons, a frog splash, but Strowman kicks out. He hits a super kick, but this ends up just kind of getting Strowman to hulk up, and then Strowman hits a power slam off the top rope on Owens, and both men are laid out. Strowman's getting back to his feet, and then Roman Reigns comes out, which I thought this made sense since Strowman had cost Reigns, the title, and he hits a Superman punch on Strowman, and Strowman wins the match by DQ, but Owens keeps the title since titles can't change hands off a countout or a disqualification. And then Reigns hits a Superman punch again, and Strowman is still on his feet, and Reigns is like, huh? So he tries to do it again. He hits a Superman punch off the steel steps, and Strowman is still on his feet from this. And then Reigns hits a spear off the steps, And this ends up knocking Stroman down. And then he sees Owens getting to his feet. And then Reigns lays out Owens with a spear, which was kind of a dick move, but because there was really no reason. Owens really didn't do anything wrong. And then Roman Reigns walks out, but I thought Roman Reigns looked like an absolute badass here. And I actually kind of thought the match was solid between Strowman and Owens. I actually thought they had a decent match together, and I would like to see a match in the future with one of them turning face, probably Owens, just because Strowman's a monster. Or Strowman, you could turn him face easily. So one of the two, but obviously they hyped up the Roman Reigns Braun Strowman feud, which I expect to take place at Fastlane. So and then it shows Triple H arriving. It really isn't Triple H. A limousine pops up. We think it's Triple H, but it ends up being Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman, which I was actually marked out for because I didn't expect to see Brock Lesnar on the show. So I thought that was really good. And then Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman come out to cut a promo. And Paul Heyman talks about how he's the advocate for the fallen beast, Brock Lesnar. He doesn't necessarily say that, but he says other things, but that's pretty much what he says. And he said that no matter how good an athlete is, there's always that one superstar that has their number. And he said that a superstar can be great. They can have the greatest legacy, but then people can say, yeah, but. An example being, and he points up a ton of analogies, but then the biggest example is that he tells his kids that he's the advocate for the beast, Brock Lesnar. But then his kids tell him, yeah, but Goldberg beat him in a minute 26 seconds at Survivor Series. Yeah, but Goldberg eliminated Brock Lesnar really quickly from the Royal Rumble match. And Paul Heyman says that he hates Yeah But because it takes away the accolades and the accomplishments that Brock Lesnar accomplished, that he worked really hard for. So he wants to have one final match. He wants at WrestleMania with Goldberg, pretty much. And he says that this time in the book, it shows that Goldberg actually has the advantage because of since he has Brock Lesnar's number every time they faced off. So he wants to face Goldberg, and he said that this time at WrestleMania there isn't going to be a yeah but, and then they leave. And you could kind of tell that Brock Lesnar looks like intense to get his hands on Goldberg. He looks vulnerable. I don't like the fact that he looks vulnerable. Brock Lesnar should not look vulnerable. He's a beast. He should be conquering people. But I do kind of like where they're going with this. And they better have Brock Lesnar fight, because obviously the match is going to be made up. Actually, it's 12:14 in the morning now. So tonight on Raw, Goldberg's going to appear. And I actually would have Goldberg say no. Which he's not going to. But really, it doesn't make sense for Goldberg to accept the challenge. He's destroyed Brock Lesnar on a handful of occasions. So what I would do is have Goldberg face, go after the Universal title, because I hear they want to do Goldberg versus Kevin Owens at Fastlane. And what you do is you have Brock Lesnar screw Goldberg out of the title, and that way Goldberg would want to get his hands on Brock Lesnar. That's way, because it really doesn't make any sense why Goldberg would accept his challenge. It really doesn't. So I kind of hope that's the direction they do end up going. So overall, I thought this was a great promo by Heyman, obviously, and this was a great segment. It sets up the Mania match. Then we had the next match that sucked. It was the worst match on the show. It was Sasha Banks versus Nia Jax. And obviously Sasha Banks is selling the knee injury. So Nia Jax pretty much destroys her and beats the crap out of her. She ends up getting her on the full Nelson on the outside. And she ends up swinging her into the steel post. I thought looked terrible. And then eventually she gets her in a submission move. The referee's checking for the victory. And then the bell rings. So the match just stops. Because I guess the timekeeper couldn't stand to see that anymore. This made no sense. But Nia won. This was dumb. And afterwards, she gets Sasha in the submission hold again. And then it gets to the point where Bayley has to come out and she tells Nia to stop. She doesn't try to beat her up or anything. And then Nia leaves. And then after this, it shows Sasha, Banks, Bayley, and the trainer backstage going to take Sasha to get to the trainers, and it's just, it's a lame ass feud, and I don't like it. I mean, it makes sense why Nia has to win, because it wouldn't make sense if Sasha won since she's got a bum knee, but it's like, they're pretty much squashing Sasha Banks now. It's pretty sad. So then we had the next match. It was a tornado tag team match. Rusev and Jinder Mahal with Lana inside versus Enzo Amore and Big Cass. And Enzo and Big Cass come out and cut their promo. You know, my name's Enzo Amore. I'm a certified G and a bona fide stud. And then they trash. Then they say, "What do we got over here? A couple of haters." And then Big Cass says, "What do we have over here?" In the win. And then Enzo then says, Big Cass says, like, "Jinder, what is up with your veins? They look gross, dude." And Enzo Amore then says, "What, have you been eating water?" I don't think that's why Jinder Mahal has veins. Then they make fun of Rusev with the refrigerator on his face with the face mask. I thought that was actually really funny. And they make fun of Lana, saying that she's the Wicked Witch of the West. They make a bunch of Wizard of Oz references, and they say that they've taken classes. They just take the GTA test, which I thought was pretty funny. The certified GTA test, I should say. And they're going to prove tonight, just like every other night, that there's only one word to describe them, and that's SAWFT, soft. But yeah, I actually like the comment, though, about Jinder Mahal, mainly because it makes I feel like they know they take it, because obviously I'm surprised he's passing any wellness tests. I have a feeling like I'm calling it now that the next time we're gonna hear like Jinder Mahal got suspended, and I ain't gonna be surprised, because I'm surprised he's passing any wellness tests. Like, look at those veins. I wonder if Vince McMahon is yet again handing out steroid. They're gonna have the whole steroid scandal again, because damn, Jinder Mahal ain't passing any wellness tests. But anyhow, the match I thought it was a good tag match. It was I like the tornado tag team stip. It made the match feel different, and you know, it was what it was. I mean, not that it was bad. Enzo tries to dive on both Rusev and Jinder Mahal, and both of them plant him face first on the barricade, and then eventually they throw Cass into the steel post, and they beat the crap out of Enzo Amore, but then Big Cass makes a comeback, and he hits the Empire Elbow on Jinder Mahal, on Rusev, and he covers Rusev. Jinder Mahal breaks up the pinfall, and then Enzo Amore pulls Jinder Mahal out of the ring, drop toe holds him into the steps, and then eventually Big Cass hits the big boot on Rusev, and Enzo Amore and Big Cass hits the Bada Boom Shakalaka for the win. I hate the name of that finisher. It's a terrible finisher, but whatever. And then that was it. I kind of hate the way Rusev's being used lately. It feels like he's just being jobbed out. I mean, he's in a storyline, but it's like, you know, it doesn't really feel like, you know, he's losing the storyline, and you know, he just kind of looks like a chump. And, yeah, Rusev just kind of looks like a chump. So, then we had the final segment of the night. The final segment, it shows Triple H arriving at the arena. And then Triple H confronts Seth Rollins. And Triple H comes out, and he talks about how he brought up Seth Rollins. He immediately dives right into it, too. And you can instantly see that this Triple H right here is a different Triple H than we saw at NXT TakeOver San Antonio. This Triple H was the cerebral assassin. This was, you know, the game Triple H. So the Triple H we saw at NXT TakeOver San Antonio, that was the businessman, the creator, Triple H. And I just love seeing the differences here. But anyhow, Triple H goes on, and he immediately dives right into it. And he says that he brought up Seth Rollins from obscurity, pretty much from the indies, pretty much. And he says that he gave Seth Rollins everything he ever wanted. You know, Seth Rollins was the first ever NXT champion. He was the leader of the Shield. Then he had an opportunity to buy in to Triple H and stand by his side, and he took it, and he destroyed the Shield. And then he goes on, and then he continues, and he talks about how he gave Seth Rollins everything that he ever wanted. He made Seth Rollins into a superstar. He eventually went on to become the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. And, you know, he gave Seth Rollins everything that he ever wanted in a silver platter. But then, eventually, push came to shove, and he just couldn't handle the pressure. And I love what he says here. he says that Seth Rollins then all this weight crashed underneath his leg and he ended up getting an injury. And he ended up whining and crying. And he handed me back the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. That just proved he handed everything that I gave Seth Rollins, that I handed Seth Rollins. And that lit a fire inside of me. And then he says, now look what's happened to Seth Rollins. He comes back and he instantly thinks that the world revolves around Seth Rollins and him getting back the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And he says that, but now look what's happened with Seth Rollins. Ever since he hasn't had me or the authority anymore, he can't do it by himself. And he's trying to blame me for his troubles, which is actually true. He actually is blaming people for his losses. So pretty much Triple H actually told the truth right here. And then he says that the reason he hasn't been showing up on Monday Night Raw, and it's been killing him to hear Seth Rollins calling him out and him not being able to do anything about it, because Stephanie McMahon told me to stay away because it's not what's best for business for me to take out Seth Rollins. So then I had to become the creator. I had to put on this suit and tie and go to do my job and be a creator down in NXT. And I actually wanted him to talk about the tournaments, saying that he was having these tournaments go up just so that way he didn't have to think about beating up Seth Rollins. That would have been awesome. But he doesn't say that, which was kind of a shame. And then he continues by saying that he's been using NXT all along to create the next Seth Rollins. Which I love the fact that he said that, because that really intensifies the feud. And then he says, but now I'm done. Because now, Seth Rollins, you came to my creation. You came to my home. And then he takes off his suit and tie, and he says that, that he's no longer going to be the business guy. He's going to be the cerebral assassin. And he says that, you people call me Seth Rollins creator. Well, Seth Rollins, come on out here and meet your destroyer. And I thought this was just awesome. An awesome promo by Triple H. And then Seth Rollins comes out. He takes off his shirt. And you think that Seth Rollins and Triple H are finally going to get into it. And then Samoa Joe attacks Seth Rollins from behind. Beats the crap out of him. I thought this was awesome. It was unexpected out of nowhere. Samoa Joe, too, has finally debuted on the main roster, which is about damn time. He should have debuted 2 years ago. And now he's finally on the main roster. I didn't expect him to go to Raw. I expected him to go to SmackDown Live, but I guess I'm fine with him going on Raw because SmackDown really doesn't need Samoa Joe. I think, Raw needs him more because Raw is really kind of struggling. So with the same guys being pushed, and Samoa Joe is a different guy, and I'm happy about this. But he beats the crap out of Seth Rollins, and he murders Samoa Joe. No, Samoa Joe murders him. And what I loved about this is Triple H didn't even want to touch Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins tries to get at him, and Triple H just walks away. I thought that was great. And then Samoa Joe destroys Seth Rollins. He hits two sentons, the splash into the Enziguri, and Seth Rollins tries to fight back, and then Samoa Joe gets him into the Corkia clutch. And Seth Rollins took like a really awkward fall too, coming out of it. It looked like his leg just kind of bent a little bit. I hope he's okay after that. But then, Samoa Joe then gets him into the quick clutch, and eventually he releases it, and then that was the end of the show. And I thought this was an awesome segment. It still does not excuse the fact, though, that Samoa Joe didn't debut at the Royal Rumble. He should have debuted there. They tried obviously to rectify that. Yes, you could say that here it was more of a surprise. Well, Samoa Joe could have debuted at the Royal Rumble and then come out here. It would have been unexpected. It would have been a complete... nobody would have seen it coming still, I think. But this still worked. And Samoa Joe, like I said, is finally up on the main roster. And I'm happy about it. It was a long time coming. And now we have and they kind of hyped this up too, that Samoa Joe took Seth Rollins' spot in NXT. So now you have a feud that can go on from NXT, because I expect them to have a match at Fastlane, which would be looking forward to. That would be a sick match. Samoa Joe, Seth Rollins match we haven't really seen before in WWE anyways. And I would love to see that match. And, you got the first ever NXT champion facing the first ever two-time NXT champion and the shortest reigning NXT champion, which is an accolade you don't really want, but he still has it. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens here. I expect something with like Triple H where he screws over Seth Rollins at Fastlane, and then it finally leads to Triple H versus Seth Rollins, because you can't have Samoa Joe just lose, and I don't think Seth Rollins would really be affected if he lost to Samoa Joe, just because of the fact that he'll get the big victory at WrestleMania. So I totally see that coming. So yeah, that's what I think about this segment. And overall, I thought Raw was a great show. I really enjoyed it. Maybe even a fantastic show, just because really there's only one thing I can complain about, and that's that Nia Jax Sasha Banks match. Everything I thought was great. I thought this was a great follow-up Raw. Going at, after the Rumble, I thought they did a good job setting up Mania angles with like Brock Lesnar and Goldberg and Triple H, Seth Rollins. We had the fucking debut of Samoa Joe on this show. Jericho and Sami Zayn had a good match. The 6-person mixed tag team match I thought was good. The cruiserweights I thought were good on the show. Not so much the Tony Mustafa Ali stuff. It was still good, but not as good as the coronation of Neville, the king of the cruiserweights. I thought that was good. The stuff with the WWE Universal Championship picture I thought was good. I thought Owens was good in this show too. The build-up between Seth Rollins and Triple H was good. I even liked the Tornado Tag Team match. I thought that was good. Not great, but good. Mainly because I'm questioning if Jinder Mahal is passing any wellness tests. So, overall, I thought this was a great show. If I had to rate the show, I'm going to rate it an 8 out of 10. It doesn't quite mean a 9 out of 10, but I'm going to rate it an 8 out of 10. I think this was a really good show. I thought it was a really good follow-up after, the Rumble. And it actually has me looking forward to seeing what's going to happen on tonight's show, especially with Goldberg coming on the show. So, I'm actually looking forward to watching Raw tonight. So now let me talk about SmackDown. Alright, so now we have SmackDown. I already said the date earlier in the video, so I'm not going to say it again. And I'm really not looking forward to watching SmackDown, actually. Not that it's bad, but now we have Randy Orton, who's won the Rumble. Now we have Cena as the champion. SmackDown could be getting bad, which kind of sucks. But I'm going to give SmackDown a chance. They could still write a good show. I think what's going to hurt SmackDown for me these next few weeks is that I know we're getting Cena versus Orton at Mania, or Wyatt versus Orton at Mania for the title, and it doesn't deserve to be for the title. It should be, just shouldn't be for the title. Now it's kind of going to be interesting to see what they do with AJ Styles. Now that he's not the champ anymore. It's going to be interesting to just see what they do with Cena. I don't really know what's going to happen with Cena, if he's still going to stay this basic thugonomics. I expect him to come out and be corny John Cena. That's exactly what I expect him to be. And even though he had some sort of a character change, it's just the fact that he's the champ right now kind of sucks. Just because of the fact that we have AJ Styles, who was the face that ran the place, and all of a sudden now he's not the champ, and now I don't know what he's doing at WrestleMania, which is not a good thing. They had a clear storyline with AJ Styles. You could have done the Samoa Joe match. Hell, you could have done Orton versus Styles at Mania. That's a Mania match. But instead we're gonna get Orton versus Cena or Orton versus Wyatt for the title. And I don't want to see Wyatt win the title. I mean, I like Bray Wyatt, but what has he done to deserve the WWE Championship? And it does. I get it. Like it builds to the Wyatt family faction breaking up. They've gone through it, but this should have been not. This shouldn't be for the title. Jericho should have won the Rumble, not Orton. It's just SmackDown's gonna be hard to watch these next few weeks, but let me watch it anyways. Okay, so now on to SmackDown itself. We had Tom Phillips, JBL, Mauro Ranallo, and David Otunga on commentary. And you could kind of see Tom Phillips. I think he was on his phone throughout this entire show, because it's not like he has to say anything, right? He only speaks like 10 words. And AJ Styles backstage, and he's watching the WWE Championship match from the Royal Rumble, which I just kind of went into detail about it. So, you know, Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon are backstage with him, and they make fun of him that he lost, which I thought was stupid. And then they say that he is going to get a rematch, and Styles says he wants a one-on-one rematch, but then Ambrose says no, no, no. Yeah. Then McMahon and Daniel Bryan say no. We'll book you a one-on-one rematch, but we're also going to have you in the Elimination Chamber. They announced the 6 guys that are going to be in the Elimination Chamber. It's going to be John Cena, Baron Corbin, The Miz, AJ Styles, John Cena, Bray Wyatt, and then they announced the 6th guy, Dean Ambrose, and they just have him come in, and then he goes to leave, and then AJ Styles is like, yeah, get out of here. And then Ambrose says that they have unfinished business because of what happened with James Ellsworth. And Styles says, well, we're not going to have a match because Shane doesn't want it. But Shane McMahon makes the match anyways, and then that was it. I actually thought this was a good backstage segment here. And then John Cena comes out and he cuts a promo. It's a basic John Cena promo. People saying John Cena changes back to a thugonomic self. It was not like that on this show. He comes out and he pretty much says that he won the WWE Championship. He made history and became a 16-time world champion. He apologizes to AJ Styles, saying that he's not like a guy from... he's not just a guy from Atlanta. He's one of the best, and he pushes him to his limits. And he talks about the Chamber match, and then the Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton teleport, and Bray Wyatt talks about how John Cena, how there's a change coming in the WWE, and he's going to destroy John Cena inside the Elimination Chamber, and he says that he also says that him and his brother Randy Orton are gonna take control of of SmackDown, and he says that after he wins the WWE Championship Elimination Chamber, it's gonna be known as the Wyatt era. And then Randy Orton says that if you get lucky and get past the Elimination Chamber, then you're gonna have to face me, and we're gonna take away the WWE Championship from you. And then they both say that they're here, and they go to attack Cena. And then the Wyatt family thing goes off again, and Luke Harper teleports to the ring, and he's like right behind Cena, which I thought was funny. But he ends up joining forces with Cena, and Wyatt and Orton retreat. So then Shane McMahon comes out and makes this a tag team match: Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton versus John Cena and Luke Harper. And I actually liked this match. I actually think this might have been my favorite thing on SmackDown this week. So Cena is taking it to Wyatt, but then Harper tags himself in, and he beats the crap out of Orton. He hits a drop kick on him, slingshots him into the ropes, and he hits a back suplex onto the announcer's table. And he actually, even before this, had looked right into Bray Wyatt's eyes. And then they get back in the ring, and Randy Orton tags in Bray Wyatt, and Harper and Wyatt have a face-off, but Harper doesn't want to face Bray Wyatt because they're trying to make it seem like Bray Wyatt still has some sort of motives, or some sort of mind control over Luke Harper, that he still has, that he can still control him, so he doesn't want to fight him. So then he tags Cena in, and Wyatt and Orton get the heat on Cena. They hit a forearm on him. Wyatt hits a forearm, Orton hits a draping DDT on him, and they pretty much beat the crap out of Cena. And then Luke Harper gets the hot tag, and he goes off on Randy Orton, which I thought was interesting. And then he tags Cena back in, and then he's gonna and then he finally snaps Harper, and he's gonna hit the Sister Abigail on Wyatt, but then he takes out Orton. And Wyatt takes out Harper with the Sister Abigail. Cena AA's Bray Wyatt. And Orton RKO's Cena. Covers him and gets the victory, so Orton and Wyatt win. And I actually like this, because they actually tried to tell some sort of depths into Luke Harper's character. And I would like to see a future match between Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper. Where Luke Harper finally snaps and he takes out Bray Wyatt. I think that would be awesome. I hope they go in that direction. And the next match was Carmella with James Ellsworth versus Delilah Dawson. James Ellsworth comes out in the close and he announces Carmella. I thought it was lame. And JBL makes fun of the match, and he pretty much makes fun of Delilah Dawson because of the way she looks, that she looks like a blue Smurf, which she does. But I thought it was kind of mean. And he actually kind of byweights Moa Manalo for doing his job and trying to call the match, but he's like, how can you take this match seriously with the way that she looks? So I thought that was JBL was kind of acting like a douche here. I thought I heard somebody vote on commentary, because if you listen to it a couple of times, it sounds like somebody voted on commentary, which I thought was pretty funny. But then eventually, James Ellsworth trips Lila, which allows Carmella to put her in the code of silence for the win and makes her tap out. And that was it. It was lame. Next match was Kalisto versus Dolph Ziggler. And it was an okay match. It was really the same thing. The referee tries to hold back Kalisto, and Ziggler ends up hitting a super kick for the win. And then afterwards, he tries to take his mask off, which I thought was good heel heat. And then Apollo Crews comes out and makes the save, but Ziggler takes off through the crowd. It wasn't bad, but it was the same thing we see every week. Then next, Naomi and Becky Lynch get interviewed. And Becky Lynch says that she's used to being attacked by people like Mickie James because she attacks her from everywhere. She's been attacked all over the place, and she says that she knows Naomi has her back. And Naomi said that Alexa Bliss says that she's an afterthought. Well, she's going to show her that she isn't an afterthought, and that she's athletic. I thought that was a good promo. And then we had the next match. It was a tag team match. Naomi and Becky Lynch versus Alexa Bliss and Mickie James. I thought this was a good tag team match. Naomi and Becky Lynch dominate the first half of it. And then the heels get the hit on Naomi. And then Becky Lynch gets the hot tag. She goes for the disarmer, but Mickie James takes her out. And then eventually the heels get the hit on Becky Lynch. And then Naomi gets the hot tag. And she hits the double split-legged moonsault on Alexa Bliss for the win. So now she's pinned the SmackDown Women's Champion twice, so I expect her to get a SmackDown Women's title match. But I like the tag team match. I kind of wish Mickie James and Alexa Bliss could have won, but I think they're trying to position Naomi to go after the Alexa Bliss for the SmackDown Women's title, so it makes sense. But American Alpha get interviewed, and they say that pretty much they've been just standing around with their thumbs up their asses, just holding the SmackDown tag team titles, and they want people, tag teams backstage, to step up and challenge them. So they say they're going to go out to the ring right now and issue an open challenge for the SmackDown tag team titles. And Chad Gable tells one of the interviewer to wish him luck, and he walks away. And and then Jason Jordan says, "Well, aren't you going to wish us luck?" And then she's like, "Good luck." And then he says, "Thanks." I thought it was kind of funny. And I actually forgot that American Alpha was SmackDown Tag Team Champions, which isn't good because they haven't been on the show in, I think, a couple of weeks. Because the last time they were on was when they defended the belts against the Wyatt family. So it's been a while. So we had the open challenge, and it's accepted by the Usos. But then the Ascension come out, and they want to face them. And then the Vaudevillains come out. Then Breezango come out, and then Beauty and the Man Beast come out, and all the tag teams start fighting. I actually liked this brawl, and eventually leads with American Alpha and Beauty and the Man Beast standing tall. But I expect a tag team and elimination chamber match to get set up from this, which I'd be fine with, but I would prefer the women's elimination chamber match that I had talked about, so whatever. But I thought this was good. And then next, Daniel Bryan's backstage, and two security guards come up, and Natalya comes up and says that she has the security because she doesn't feel safe coming to work after Nikki Bella attacked her. And she says that Daniel Bryan probably called her in here because she wants because he's gonna show off her new merchandise. And then Daniel Bryan says no. Then Nikki Bella comes up, and Natalya cowards away. And then Nikki Bella and Natalya start bickering at each other. It gets to the point where Daniel Bryan then says, "Enough!" And then Daniel Bryan announces that at Elimination Chamber it's going to be Natalya versus Nikki Bella, which I'm looking forward to that match, actually, because it actually has a good storyline behind it. So, and then we had the main event of the show. It was Dean Ambrose versus AJ Styles with the Miz on commentary for this match, and I actually liked this match. Dean Ambrose dominates the first half of the match, and then Styles hits a super kick to the ribs, and then throws him face into the barricade, and he dominates the matchup a little bit. But then Ambrose starts to make a comeback. He goes to attack him off the top rope outside the ring, but then Baron Corbin comes out, and he ends up joining commentary. And Miz and Corbin bigger at each other. I actually thought the Miz was doing a really good job on commentary. And then AJ Styles dominates the matchup. He hits a Argentina backbreaker, and Dean Ambrose hits a suplex into a side slam, and he goes for the lunatic lariat, but AJ Styles ducks it, and Styles gets him into the calf crusher. Ambrose gets to the ropes. He goes for the phenomenal forearm. Ambrose tries to go for the dirty deed, to try to go for it several times in this match, but Styles kept fighting out of it. Ambrose goes for the superplex. Styles fights out of that and plants Ambrose face first onto the turnbuckle. He goes for a torpe suicida, but Styles hits a right hand. Then eventually Styles hits a Pele kick, but then Ambrose hits the lunatic lariat, and then he hits the elbow from the turnbuckle on the outside. Then he puts him back in the ring, and then Baron Corbin, because the Miz kept talking shit to him, goes after the Miz and tries to beat the crap out of him. So this distracts Ambrose, so he hits a torpe suicida on Baron Corbin, which it really didn't make any sense why he distracted him. And then Styles hits the Styles Clash on Ambrose and gets the victory, which he needed, because they kind of buried him on this show a little bit. They even had, like, on the side, when the guy makes his entrance, they'll say accomplishments they did. And for Styles, it said that he lost the WWE title at the Rumble. So he needed a victory after the Rumble. And then afterwards, the Miz lays out Ambrose with a skull-crushing finale. And then Baron Corbin lays out the Miz with the end of days, and then lays out Ambrose with the end of days. And I like this segment here. It set up the Elimination Chamber match coming up. And you made Styles look strong, and Styles and Ambrose had a good match. And now I'm going to watch Talking Smack, and then I'll give you my full thoughts on SmackDown. Okay, so now we had Talking Smack, and I actually thought it was pretty good. We had Renee Young and Daniel Bryan on the panel, and apparently for the reason he's saying that he was gone was because people didn't like what he was saying. Which I couldn't understand that, because he's very controversial on that show sometimes. But apparently a revolution happened, and he was back on the show, which is good. And Renee Young and Daniel Bryan talk about the Royal Rumble. And Daniel Bryan says that he feels bad that a lot of the SmackDown roster didn't get to shine, where they only had one SmackDown match, and they only had 11 SmackDown superstars in the Royal Rumble match, which completely makes sense. SmackDown kind of got shafted out of that. And then an American Alpha get interviewed, and they talk about how they didn't get the opportunity to be in the Royal Rumble match, and they wanted to be in there to show their stuff. And they said that they don't feel like the other teams are stepping up to face them, so they wanted to have that open challenge to have other tag teams step up, and that's exactly what they did. And then Daniel Bryan says that at Elimination Chamber, all those teams that came out are going to have a tag team turmoil match, and American Alpha are happy about it, and they actually want to be the first team that starts off. But I don't think they are going to be the first team. I think they're going to come out maybe fourth or something. And then Naomi gets interviewed, and I really wish they had done a chamber match for the tag team titles, because that just kind of would have been cool. Then again, you have teams like the Ascension and the Breezango out there, so maybe not. So I'm not trashing Breezango, but they're just an okay team, but the Ascension just suck. But then Naomi gets interviewed, and she talks about why she has the glow, because she wants people to know why she's wrestling, why she's doing this. And she talks about how she's been in the WWE a long time, and she's always dreamed about walking into WrestleMania and finally becoming the women's champion. So Daniel Bryan says that because she's been so impressive, at Elimination Chamber, it's going to be Naomi versus Alexa Bliss for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And, she talks about it. She fantasizes what it would be like to go into WrestleMania as the SmackDown Women's Champion in her hometown, and doing her dance and everything. And I thought it was pretty funny. And then The final one is it has a Randy Orton interview, and he talks about how winning the Royal Rumble was an experience you never forget. You know, even though he's been there before, the atmosphere is just nothing like it. And he says that then when they asked him who he would rather see win the Elimination Chamber match and face him for the title, and he wants to see John Cena win because he knows John Cena the best out of anybody in that match. And then he says that he's going to take the WWE Championship. He talks about how he's been in all types of big matches, and he says that because next week him and John Cena are having a match, which is this week on SmackDown, which I don't want to see that. He says that he's going to take John Cena's pride, and then at WrestleMania he's going to take his title, and all John Cena will have to do is run. And then that was the end of Talking Smack. And although I thought Talking Smack was pretty good, I liked the interview with American Alpha and Naomi's was okay, but Randy Orton's was kind of boring. But I kind of like this new Randy Orton. But you just kind of look at it, and Randy Orton's pretty boring sometimes, and this was one of those times. Okay, so overall, I thought SmackDown was an okay show. It wasn't anything special. They definitely set up the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, which I did like that. I liked the stuff they did. I liked the main event. I liked the tag match with Cena and Mahal versus Wyatt and Orton. What else did I like on this show? Kalisto versus Dolph Ziggler was okay, but it was the same thing we see every week. The women's tag team match was good. I like the stuff they did with the tag teams. And the segment with Nikki Bella and Natalya, even though it really didn't go anywhere. I mean, it led to a match, but you know what I mean. So I just thought it was an okay show. Nothing special. You really don't need to watch the SmackDown. Everything's good and stuff. It's just nothing. A lot of the stuff we see the same time, and I think the fact, like I said, the fact that Cena's the champion, Orton's the Rumble winner, it seems like they are setting up as Cena versus Orton. They made it pretty clear in the show, and hearing Orton say, whether the fans want to admit it or not, they do want to see that match. It's a big match. Just pisses me off. I think seeing him go in that direction pisses me off. So, and now I have to see Cena versus Orton next week. That pisses me off. So, overall, I think SmackDown's just kind of pissing me off right now because it just feels like it's bad because we have Cena as the champion, Orton as the Rumble winner. We're getting Orton versus Cena. But I did like there was some good stuff on it, but definitely having Cena as the Rumble winner and Cena as the champion and Orton as the Rumble winner kind of hurts the show, I think. And some of the stuff just wasn't all that good. I think they kind of buried AJ Styles, I thought, in this show by McMahon and Bryan laughing at him when he lost, and the fact that they put the thing on the side saying that he lost lost, and having Cena come out there and say that he was a good performer and everything just kind of didn't really feel believable. I mean, I honestly thought he believed it, but it just kind of felt like it was adding salts to the wound, if that makes sense. So overall, I thought SmackDown was just an okay show. I'll give it a 6 out of 10 because I thought it was okay. Alright, so obviously you can tell what was better. It was Raw on this episode. I thought Raw had the better show. It was more surprising. They had more good stuff on it, like Brock Lesnar being on the show, Samoa Joe debuting, Triple H and Seth Rollins finally having their face-off. They had a good match with Sami Zayn and Chris Jericho. Everything I thought on Raw was really good this week. SmackDown just was good, but it was just okay. I thought Raw just had the better show. I thought they had a better follow-up to the Rumble than SmackDown did, and I thought Raw was better. But that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe to this channel, and make sure to subscribe to my Wrestling Fortune 44 and my own The Talkinator channels because I've been posting videos on there. And that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.